Crosby, Gensel on the right. He scores! Jake Gensel!
Hundley holds, steps up. Hundley sacks T.J. Watt. NFL history. Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record. Oh, no.
In the air to right. This is deep. And he did it again. Jack Sawinski wins it for the Pirates. 3 home runs in a game.
Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studio right here in the Municipal Building. Thank you all for watching us on Comcast 21. Thank you for watching us on Verizon 32. Everywhere from Nemacolin to Cranberry Wexford. Sorry, I forgot Comcast is only in Bethel Park. So if you're watching us on Facebook and that, you know what I'm talking about. Just skipped it a little. This nice, beautiful summer day threw me off because it was a picture-perfect summer day. Couldn't beat it, especially after the humid days. I like it a little chillier, so that helps. And thank you for all the Facebook likes. We're holding right around that 7,000 number out there, so I'm proud and honored with that. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim is one of my best friends, and he's a man of mystery. By the way, before I get into this, thank you to all the people that watched and supported my show and came in. Chip just couldn't make it. His wife had carpal tunnel surgery. So shout out to Steph. Prayers for you to get better. And what's the kitten watching?
Oh, that's Zoe.
Zoe's doing a great job. I like the picture. You have a great nurse.
That's right.
Chip and Stephanie couldn't come here. He threw $20 my way right now. So now our grand total, I expected $300-400. I didn't know who was showing up. $1,259 for Alzheimer's that help people like Chip's mom, my mom, and others that need it, and other people that are going to go through it. So it was first ever telethon on Bethel Park TV. I'm making the announcement here. I'm going to do it annually each year in August. So stay tuned for bigger and better. I flew by the seat of my pants. We had olive oils supplied, the End hot sauce. Steve was here. He took it. His face was red. He was on fire. I had 2 wings and a couple tears popped out of my eyes. But I had milk here and that worked. My son Drew, Big Drew's watching. He had 5 after the show and he goes, "Dad, it's a little hot. I just won't touch my eyes." And he drank a little milk. Then today, he goes, "I got to finish up those wings. There were 5 left." Whoomp, whoomp. I go, "How are you?" He goes, "Tell Frankie at Olive Oils," young Frankie came here and I interviewed him. He goes, "Tell him it wasn't so bad." And they were hot. Steve was crying. I was actually speechless for a minute or two. My friend Kelly was on. By the way, thanks to Kelly Robbins. She showed up, longtime friend. She gave me $20 and it put us up to $1,019. So we cracked my goal. I'm always ambitious. I figured we could get $300 or $400, so I put $1,000 down. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Now, Smoking Jim was supposed to be here. He donated $11 begrudgingly, all ones. Nick knows what it's like to get paid $50 in ones.
Yeah.
And then somebody named Michael Mariano brought in money from both grandmothers. So shout out to Peggy and Nick up in Rochester. Or no, Ann.
That's Ann.
Ann Harder. Sorry, I get them confused.
And
I got
Teresa.
Mike here, and we appreciate it, sending that money in. And Marco came in and threw a 20. And Jono said he just brought him here, so I appreciate him coming in. But it was a great time, and I handled 3 hours of talking, most of it. And Chip, I did have to listen a little bit during that time. It was tough.
Yeah.
As you get older, you should listen twice as much.
Yeah, you've
I
got
only
the
got
right
about
name.
a third.
You're the talking machine, not the listening machine.
I got about a third of it in, but it went well. And Smoking Jim, he was supposed to come to it, so he donated some money. Then he was supposed to go to another event. So, Saturday in between doing a luncheon, I filmed at the Lamont for Joanne Forrester, a women's group. honoring the 19th Amendment and the women's right to vote. They honored a couple people. He messages me, "Hey, Machine, my car broke down. They're towing my car." Of course, Smoking Jim didn't say what's wrong. He did run out of antifreeze 2 months ago.
Probably ran out of gas.
Yeah, well, yesterday, the update on Smoking Jim, he's not here. And he said Calusi Chevrolet is working on his car. And most people would say, hey, my axle broke, my transmission shot, my engine shot.
I hit a deer.
I hit a deer, or a deer hit me, whatever they say insurance-wise. Guess what he said? Crickets. We heard nothing. So he's not here. We got Michael Rohde here again. He's filling in. And you know he knows sports, but he told me, I only know one thing about sports today, so stay tuned for what he's going to talk about. We got Nick, VIP Callis, Chip Hayner, and of course I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, talking on. And we have our promos coming up. And the first thing I want to say is you can still donate money on my link. If you're a procrastinator like a lot of people, you send me $1, it'll all add up, and you can do that maybe for the next month or till they shut it down. I'm not sure. But we're all trying to help other people either going through Alzheimer's or people that may have symptoms and can find help. And there are some medicines. Chip and I were talking about his mother lived 12 years with taking a medicine. 17 years with Alzheimer's. My mother, after diagnosis, only lasted 6 years, went through all the stages, and it was horrific. So they do have some meds to slow it down. You can't get cured by it yet, but this money goes to research, helping. The local Alzheimer's had Sarah and Brittany here, and they were excellent on what they do with Alzheimer's Association. So we're going to carry on with that. And if you can donate to Albert Tripp Menu, just do that. And of course, sponsor all our other promos with help and things to help others. That's what part of our plan is. And sorry it takes a bit, but we will talk sports deeply, and we'll get our points across from every angle. So we're going to go to Johnny in the control room. Let's do those promos right now. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Strikers. I worked there for 36 years. My former union, CWA PPMWS 14842, Pittsburgh Local Mailers Union number 22, is on strike. Even though health care benefits were secured for workers by the union, Post-Gazette management cut them out without the union's approval and still expected workers to show up without any coverage. Please cancel your Post-Gazette subscriptions online or in print. Pittsburgh Sportsline supports the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Union Strikers. Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria and the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV. Stay Joey strong. Joey Fabus died at 8 years old of brain cancer known as DIPG. Since then, the family has come together with community members to create the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. Since being founded, they've raised over $100,000. Go to jfccf.org to learn more about DIPG, to help spread awareness, and to see how else you can support and donate towards the fight against this dreaded brain cancer. Always Be Smiling, a 501c3 designed to help children and families in need of kidney transplants. The B stands for Bennett, whose memory is embedded in this organization by his parents, Kristen and Dean. Despite the challenges he faced in his 16 and a half years of life, Bennett always had a smile on his face and spread kindness to everyone he could. Now, Always Be Smiling wants to pass on that kindness. Go to alwaysbesmiling.org to learn more and see how you can support or donate to this organization. The Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you. I'm Al Levine, trustee on the board of this great organization. The BPCF focuses on raising money to provide scholarships, grants, endowments, and more. Grant requests are available online from $100 to $5,000. You can also attend fundraisers or donate. Go to bpcf.org to get more information and to stay up to date on upcoming events. The Bethel Park Community Foundation, focusing community resources, building for the future. The Bethel Park Historical Society is a 501c3 that serves Bethel Park. The Historical Society operates out of the Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, located at 2600 South Park Road. Look for the red and white trolley right out front. Reginald's Coffee is inside, and I've heard it's the best coffee around. To visit this great historical venue, email historicalsocietybp@gmail.com.
Join the Bethel Park Police Department in support of Kicks for Kids. Its mission is to provide grade school students with a fresh pair of shoes to start off the school year on the right foot. Donations of new youth and adult-sized tennis shoes will be graciously accepted. You can also make a tax-deductible financial donation, 100% of which will go toward the purchase of tennis shoes for students. You can support by calling 412-835-7220, by texting K for K to 44321, or by mailing orders to Life Builders at 2624 Brandis Avenue in South Park. There's also a bin in the lobby of the Bethel Park Police Station for you to make a drop-off. Kicks for Kids. Let's build together and make a difference in the life of a student. And now this message from BPTV.
Alas, poor talking machine. I knew him well. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy?
Dave, I'm not dead. I'm still doing Pittsburgh Sportsline every Tuesday night and many other weekly shows on BPTV.
That's great, Al, but then who's this?
I don't know, but we must leave right now. Let's go. Help save Pittsburgh police officer Jeffrey Crawford. Jeffrey is in need of a kidney donation. He's in stage 5 renal failure and he's on dialysis 3 times a week. He needs this kidney ASAP. To contact the UPMC donor registry, call 412-647-4438 or go to livingdonorreg.upmc.com. And to help spread awareness, use the hashtag #BlessJeff on socials. Let's come together to support Pittsburgh policeman Jeffrey Crawford in his time of need. Alex Reed is in need of a kidney. 2 weeks after college graduation, Alex's kidneys failed. A gracious donor gave Alex 7 years of life, but now he needs another kidney. To learn more about becoming a donor for Alex, call 830-285-2140 or go to kidneysolutions.org. Zhang Taekwondo just opened a new location in the South Hills, along with its location in Wexford and its inclusion in the curriculum of Provident Charter School in Troy Hill. Zhang uses Taekwondo to teach its students confidence and self-discipline through physical fitness. Zhang is offering a 4-week special. You get a uniform and lessons for $30. If you mention the Talking Machine, Smokin' Jim, or VIP Nick, they'll give you a further discount. For more information, go to zangtkd.com or call 724-934-9264. Okay. First, shout out Pete Kasich, Ann Harder, the grandma, Paul Haley are watching, Ralph Williams, hello. Peggy Rohde, hi Al, love the show, and what a fantastic panel. Nick and Peggy and Rochester. You got a good fan club there. My friend Marla Shatner's watching. She said, hi, Al and crew. Hello back. Scoops is watching. Shout out, Scoops. Thanks for everything and even your donation to the Alzheimer's. I appreciate it. Mia Foster's watching. Thank you for watching. All right, we got to go to VIP. Nick Callis. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine, and if you want the green,
Oh, I didn't know you needed it.
you've got to see Levine high and tight. High and tight. There we go. All right. Very good. Okay, so I'm not Smoking Jim, but I'm going to talk.
Hold it, we can't tell.
No, it's a little lighter
I said
over
that
here.
out loud.
Anyway, no, okay. So first of all, congratulations. My sister Mariah and her fiance Cedar got married, so now they're husband and wife. So happy about that.
Congratulations, I met them last year.
Yeah, so I was off for, she was on the show around this time last year, surprisingly Smoking Jim.
And give her name out because Smoking Jim.
It's not Bella, it's Mariah. Yeah, Bella means beautiful in Italian. Oh, great time. Yeah, Smoking Jim. He's going to be missed tonight, I'm sure. But,
By who? Sorry, go ahead, carry on.
I didn't really get a chance
Michael
to.
misses them.
I didn't really get a chance to cover sports at all this week because I finally took a weekend off doing wedding things. So I'm happy about the Steelers, still optimistic. The Pirates beat the Cardinals by a lot yesterday, and that's exciting. I'm happy to see that the Cardinals continue to fall into the basement of the league. It's a shame that the Pirates fell from first place, but, what are you going to do? And still, all these teams, this is a year where there's a whole lot of backwards logic going on in Major League Baseball from what we've seen previously, where the team's spending so much money on players and not really succeeding at that. The Padres, Mets, Phillies, Yankees. The Yankees, before I kind of made the excuse for them, too, that they were still a winning record and every team in the AL East had a winning record. Yankees don't have that anymore.
8 in a row they lost.
Yeah, they're really struggling, and Aaron Boone might get fired for that. He hasn't really done anything super special with the team. They won the division once since he's been manager, so
What took so long?
shame on them. I also just have to think, too, that maybe the rules, the rule changes that have gone in Major League Baseball that kind of promote more offense, give players more opportunities to showcase what they can do, whether it's stealing bases or in terms of the designated hitter, seeing more players hit, having one extra pitcher on each roster, moving from 25 to 26 on an active roster. I think that all kind of plays a role in just seeing now that, okay, maybe spending on the biggest and best players and trying to just mold them and plug them in, it's not going to work as frequently as it used to. So I'm kind of happy to see that maybe the prices for players is going to max out at Ohtani and everything's going to finally settle into a like a price floor where maybe we'll start to see these contracts go down and we'll start seeing a little more reasonability with contracts. The Pirates maybe could get a few players as a result of that. There's just a lot of things to think about, but everything that's going on in Major League Baseball right now I think is good. Seeing a lot more development and a lot less just cash spending really
Mention the
succeed.
pitch clock.
That too, that was one of the rule changes. Yeah, of course the pitch clock. That promotes the stolen bases. So
What a difference.
yeah, no, there are a lot of differences with baseball, and I'm happy to see that. And I think that the rule changes over the last 3 or 4 years may have contributed to that, and that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Alan. And, just to speak to a couple of subjects that Nick touched on,
Of course.
interesting little fact. I put a post on Facebook. If anybody's a friend of mine on Facebook, look for it. But the Yankees over the last, I think, 5 years have paid Giancarlo Stanton over $50 million to not play baseball. That's
Yeah.
how much time he's spent on the injured
Injured.
list. Over $50 million to not play. Must be good work if you can get it.
Well, it's a good curse Look at who was the guy that was MVP last year, signs his big contract, and now he can't play.
And, and Nick made another really good point. Shohei Ohtani, who is everybody's calling the greatest player that ever lived, and I don't know if that's a fact. He is doing some amazing things, but he's probably going to break the bank. He's going to set the record for the highest payroll. But here's the thing that I think about. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have arguably the two best players in baseball. Mike Trout, who's a $350+ million player, and Shohei Ohtani, and they can't win anything. So maybe that isn't what the answer.
Chip, you've been saying this for years. You're getting proven right this year.
Well, we'll see. Because you know what? Things happen in cycles. And next year, watch. The Yankees will go 162-0 with the highest payroll in baseball while the Mets flounder again. But so what's on my mind this week? We watched the Steeler game on Saturday night, and I actually got to watch a fair amount of it with my wife laid up after her carpal tunnel surgery. And am I optimistic about this season? Well, I was optimistic about this season before I watched play one of either of the preseason games. I felt that the Steelers going into the season were going to be a much better team. I still think there is a gigantic question mark over whether or not Kenny Pickett is an elite quarterback. Can he be a serviceable quarterback and win games with the kind of defense that the Steelers are going to put on this field this year? I say the answer to that question is yes.
Only if Watt's healthy.
But, because if the Baltimore Ravens could win a world championship with Trent Dilfer as a quarterback, anything's possible.
Yeah.
But, we have a tendency to put the cart before the horse in Pittsburgh sports. I think back to April, the month of April, it was 20-8. And everybody had the Pirates penned in to go to the World Series. They're going to the playoffs. They've got a great team. And they really didn't. And their flaws became quite evident in May, June, July, and August. And, subsequently, the Pirates are what the Pirates probably should have been all year. They've brought a lot of young kids up, and it's been exciting to watch. They're on the right path right now. People just have to be patient. Everybody wants to fire this person, fire that person. I hear so much talk on social media about just let Henry Davis catch. And the thing I find so amusing about this is the people that want to see Henry Davis catch are people that have never watched him catch. The people that have watched him catch for the last year and a half decided he would be a better option in right field. That tells me something about his ability as a catcher. I think Henry Davis is going to be a perfectly serviceable right fielder. He is trying to learn how to play a position at the highest level a sport has to offer. So what you're watching Henry Davis go through right now is what you should have been going through in AA and AAA, but now you're watching it on the big stage. And I think Henry Davis is going to be perfectly fine. I think he's going to be a star player for the Pirates. Is he going to be the Pirates catcher? I don't know. But there's got to be some reason why they're not putting him behind the plate. And they're the ones that saw him catch, not most people on social media. Go ahead, Nick.
I know the business of why they
Let
drafted
us
him
know.
first
Let us
overall.
know.
But why would you draft him first overall? Then why not take an outfielder?
Okay, that's a really good question. And here's another question that dovetails into that. Neil Walker, first-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I was going to bring it up if you two.
Okay, Neil Walker was drafted as a catcher out of Pine Richland. He got into the Pirates organization. They made him a third baseman. When they brought him up to the big leagues, they made him a second baseman. He was talking on one of the broadcasts the other day that when he first started in the majors, he would just pray that nobody would hit him the ball until he got comfortable playing it. So, just because somebody's drafted as a catcher, the reason they got drafted is because they're an incredible athlete. They what's that?
Neil wasn't a 1-1 though, was he?
He was not 1-1.
Wow.
He wasn't 1-1. Not that should make a difference. I mean, you're drafted in the first round, you're drafted in the first round. But that all being said,
You guys ever hear of Stan Musial getting brought up as a pitcher?
Well,
Hall of Famer, one of the
Thing-
best hitters ever.
but I mean, Nick
Local boy, local boy.
Nick makes a good point, and I'll give him credit for that. I just don't think that just because you're drafted as something necessarily means that's where you end up. So we'll see what happens. Okay, but next up is that we're getting all the credit from Kenny Pickett because of the way the Steelers offense. Now he's played 3 series of downs and scored all 3 times.
Yeah!
Okay.
I'm drinking their Kool-Aid. I got more.
So here's my question. Is the offense performing better because it's Kenny Pickett? Or is the offense performing better because Matt Canada has opened up the book and is actually letting his offense be his offense instead of being handcuffed? Because one thing Matt Canada will not get this year is credit for any success
He's
that
not
the
allowed.
Steelers have. No, he's going to be the dartboard, and any time that Kenny throws an incomplete pass or an interception, he's going to get blamed because
Well, one
Kenny
thing-
is not.
Let me interrupt you a second. One thing I was saying earlier with Canada, I didn't have much respect for him being Tomlin's friend and a pit guy and whatever else. But then I thought everybody's at these levels and they see athletes. Like we have our eye tests with prejudice. What if he saw the talent that he had last year and he goes, I can't run 70% of my plays?
Well,
What if he said that and he goes, I got Najee wearing a steel boot for 6 games and they think he's a bust, so I can't do these things.
So, Alan,
what if he said, and I
you
got
know,
a rookie quarterback?
now last year the Steelers got criticized roundly for the way
Well,
that
that's what my
for the
opinion
way
was.
Tomlin coached, for the way he played people, didn't play people, so forth and so on. The Pittsburgh Steelers as an organization sat down in the offseason and they decided that, you know what, we need to make changes to this organization if we're going to be successful. They completely got rid of every inside linebacker they had and replaced them. Smart move. The guys they had last year were not cutting it. So, maybe they reevaluated what they were thinking last year. We don't know because nobody talks to these people and they're not going to share this with us. But here's what I'm going to do. The jury is
Stay
out.
tuned.
The jury is out until the 8th or 10th game of the season, and then we'll determine whether or not the offense is.
Hold it. We were 5-2. We're riding the wave. I'm drinking Kool-Aid.
You know what?
I don't care.
I
It's
wanna-
a good karma.
I want to see a body of work. I'm not going to make a choice as to what I think about the quality of
Okay.
job anybody's doing after a game or two, because once you put it on tape, and other teams get a chance to study it
Yeah.
and make adjustments, okay, that's what I want to see what happens at that point, instead of success up front and then what happens after that.
So you're telling me I can't overreact until 10 games have been played?
You can do
That's
anything.
ridiculous.
You could do anything that makes you happy, Nick. Okay, if that helps get you through the day, have at it. I personally, I'm not going to start doing handsprings until I have a reason to.
Thank you, Chip. I concur with some of it, but I'm drinking Steeler Kool-Aid. And wait till you hear my segment. But first, a couple shout-outs. Thanks to Jamie and my friend Jamie Menu for watching. Let's see here. Mia Foster. Pete Kasich says, oh, no, he says Stan is my neighbor's cousin. Okay, for whatever that was about.
Stan
Paul-
Musial.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad he got that. I'm looking at a few different things. Mia, thanks for watching. Amy Sliss is watching. She said hello. Great show. Thank you. Omni Abdul Rahman is watching. Thank you, whoever you might be and why you're watching. Scoop said, you're welcome, my friend. Thank you again, Scoop. Let me see what else we got here. I think we're brought up to date. Oh, no. Paul Haley got something for Nick. Great wedding photos, Nick. You clean up well.
Thank
And
you.
Paul, I told him nice haircut and nice trim on the beard. Must have been a heck of a wedding. And I wanted to know how many shots did he have. They didn't show any video of that.
No comment.
Most weddings, even me, I'm not a drinker.
I didn't
Last
care.
year, my daughter's wedding, I had a couple shots.
I didn't care about how many shots he had. I wanted to see him cutting a rug.
All right, we got that. All right, we got a substitute for Smoking Jim Frazier. We pulled him out of the control room, took him away from the camera with his son Marco. Mike Rohde, your fans want to hear you speak about sports. Nick and Peggy up there are waiting with bated breath.
Well, thank you. Let me give a shout out to Nick and Peggy for all the life lessons that they taught me. We all know
We
that
salute you.
life is full of lessons, and I have a couple of them that are very topical. Okay?
Oh,
3 in
well,
fact.
I liked your existential last week.
There you go. Okay, we work into
Them
things.
50-cent
See,
words.
when you go third, you
He-
got to kind of,
He
you know.
threw it out there.
Jim would be looking that up in his Funkin' Wagnalls.
Smoking Jim was like this, because Nick doesn't let me bring it in with the briefcase anymore. He limited
I
me.
didn't say that.
He limited me.
I
He
did
never
not.
said I could.
I never said you couldn't.
There you go. There you go.
I was waiting for some logic. All right, we'll let Michael.
Okay, lesson number 1. Don't cut a piece of pepperoni when you're holding it because you're going to slice your finger and get 3 stitches. That's lesson number 1. Put it down on a
Love
table.
that.
Good to know. Good to know.
Lesson number 2 that's topical. Never eat a hot wing that you have to sign a waiver for.
Hey, we had him here. We had the end hot wings from Olive Oils, and I had 2. And I had tears in my eyes and couldn't talk for a minute or two.
I did
was
that
silenced.
back in the 90s at Fatheads in the South Side.
Yeah.
Fatheads versus the Volcano Wings,
Right.
which were just death on a chicken bone.
Yeah.
But here's the third and most important. Never trust what you see in the NFL preseason.
Whoa, that should have been number 1.
Well, it'll lead into it.
Okay.
See, again, when you go third, you got to kind of, prep it a little
Nick
bit.
and Peggy,
a lot of
did
ideas.
You,
go.
did you stop having the bated breath? Or did you get existential on that?
I'll get a little existential. I didn't have time to research what year it was because I didn't know Smoking Jim wasn't going to be here. I actually
Okay.
just stopped in to say hi, but here I am.
Hello.
So I think it was 97 when Cordell Stewart absolutely tore up the preseason. And everybody was like, this is the year. Oh my goodness, this is going to be fantastic. And very similar to now. Everything was
Hold it,
clicking.
I remember a Cliff Stout quarterback that was supposed to be really good.
Yeah,
too.
well, there you go. He was for the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL. He was the best quarterback they had there. So if you
I
wanted to
actually
go
met
there.
him in a Green Tree bar.
Hey, I
Were you
tell
that guy that booed him?
No.
No,
when-
when they played the Birmingham Stallions, I saw better arms throwing
Right, it's,
snowballs than I
snowballs.
saw on Cliff
They
Stout.
were
and that was
great.
that was the only Mahler's sellout of the entire year
Yeah.
because everybody wanted to throw a snowball
And
at
they
Cliff
did.
Stout, and they
they
threw
did.
lots. But anyway, back I think
And
it was
the saloon
'97.
in Green Tree on Noblestown Road where I met him. I'm in a bar, and they go, "Hey Al, you like sports? You want to meet Cliff Stout?" I go, "Yeah." They go, "He's over there," and they brought him over. I'm talking to him, and
All right,
just an
guy.
average like guy. I'm 6 foot, and we were eye to eye.
Did he have the hot wings?
You know what his only claim to fame was?
No.
He missed the Steelers, an opportunity to start for the Steelers, because he went to hit the punching bag in the bar.
Oh, I remember.
And missed.
Yeah.
And missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and broke his hand.
Paul Haley said Cliff Stout was from Youngstown State,
That's
I
right.
believe.
I think he was.
Mike co-signed it. Amy said, great photos. Nick, all right, thanks, Amy. We moved on from that. Nick's still here. You can talk to him in a minute or two.
Well, but anyway, real quick on that end of the thought. Cordell Stewart, and I think, again, I believe it was 97, tore it
Yeah.
up. And then in week 1, they got absolutely destroyed by the Dallas Cowboys. I remember the game going to a friend's house. We're all there, great anticipation, and he just got knocked about. Now, you know everything I've said, and every time I've been here, basically, is that I am a believer in what Kenny Pickett will do. But I also believe that it takes about a year and a half to get going with quarterbacks because they kind of go back and forth. A lot of guys lately. Burrow was the same way, even though I know he had an injury. The kid for Jacksonville, they heated up at the end of last
Look
year.
at Mahomes, the legend, only started one game.
Right.
as a rookie.
It takes a while. So I think that don't be surprised if they don't take a little bit of a shellacking on week 1. I'm frankly preparing myself for it.
What about the first 4 games?
I called, if you recall,
Those
a couple weeks
defenses.
ago, I said they're going to start probably 2 and 4. Be my guess, and everybody's going to think the world's
another-
ending.
2 and 4.
2 and 4, and
I'm
then
only
and then
worried
they're
about the first 4 defenses.
yeah, and then they'll pick it up. I really do. I believe that. I think that Pickett will eventually be really, really good. It won't be elite this year, but he'll get there. I really believe. Oh, I've said that all along. I'm a huge Kenny Pickett fan. I mean, just the way where he threw that ball to Freiermuth on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. Not towards. He threw it back out towards the outside. A little bit, not outside of the inside. You know what I mean? But he didn't throw where the guy was running. He threw it
finessed it.
away. Threw it in
Yeah,
between those two
a little
safeties.
bit of finesse is nice.
But what I'm saying is, in the preseason, those safeties, they're playing, the old vanilla defense, right? There's no
Well, plus
stunts,
some of
there's
them
no
are second
twists,
and
there's no
third
turns.
string.
But to
too.
speak to that, it looked like the Steelers were playing to win that game, and the Bills were just playing not to get hurt, because Jalen Warren runs 62 yards completely untouched for a touchdown. And I mean,
What an average that is.
now who was playing defense?
Bills
on
were
that play?
tackling like it was the
Who
Pro
was playing
Bowl,
defense
right?
on that play? Obviously nobody.
Exactly. That when it was their first team defense, there's probably something to be said for that.
They were trying not to get hurt.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, think about it. They're worried about
buy
their
that.
livelihood.
Yeah, so I think that it's going to be, the reason I'm bringing this up, because I think it's going to be a rough beginning, kind of, sort of. It's not going to be as open and wild and easy to score touchdowns as everybody is led to believe at the moment. It'll be good in the long run.
Hold it.
Everybody's just got to kind of hang on there. Yeah, everybody's got to kind of hang in there.
Why do I talk?
But
No.
it's going to be the same old adage: get rid of Matt Canada.
That's right. He's
So-
going to be the whipping boy this year.
Yeah, at least at first. But I think they will settle down, and I still stick by
Oh,
10
you
and
think
7
they'll be
and
2
winning a
and
playoff
6,
game.
and
2
then-
and 4, and then 10 and 7 and winning a playoff.
Whoa, we heard it here first.
So wait. Here's
That's
my
my
question. I'm going to throw this out there to all of you.
Okay.
Is it going to be the first or the second play of the season that people are going to start blaming Matt Canada for everything, or are they actually going to go further into the first quarter?
You know whose name we've not heard at all in the first couple preseason games? Matt Canada. No one said a thing. No one's heard that.
And they won't give him no credit for anything.
But as soon as somebody fumbles, they're going to blame Matt Canada.
The first time
right? 'Cause
Kendrick
that's-
Green snaps the ball over the quarterback.
Oh, I remember when the Eagles sacked Ben Roethlisberger, I think like 12, 14 times
Yeah.
on a day, and they're Bruce Arians, fire Bruce Arians, it's the offensive coordinator's fault,
Here's what I'll say. I'll give them credit if they score more consistently beyond the first 3 quarters, or in the first 3 quarters of the game. Because they didn't score a lot.
No,
That
not at all.
Bengals game, they were doing everything right, and they were scoring. And then in the second half, they got methodical or monotonous. They got monotonous. Same
There you
plays
go.
over and
Good
over
choice of
again.
words.
And then that was like the whole season. First 3 quarters, monotonous offense. They had to make a comeback in the fourth quarter. If they can consistently score in the first half of games, I'll give them credit.
Hey,
I will tell you
Tomlin-
this: the Steelers are definitely a different team when they're playing from ahead as opposed to playing from behind.
Tomlin said, he had red paint, so he painted the barn red, right? And that's a great quote, I think, because he had what he had. He had Mitch Trubisky starting the season. By the way, I think Mitch Trubisky should be number 3, but that's probably a different topic. But that's what he had. And to
Maybe
your
in
point,
next
Chip,
segment you can
earlier,
bring that up.
he's got more colors in the wheelhouse now, right? And he can finally do them for a number of reasons. Why they hired Matt Canada when they had the ghost of Ben Roethlisberger playing quarterback, I have absolutely no idea.
Because the franchise exists beyond Ben Roethlisberger. He doesn't know that.
I'm
tell him
not
that.
so sure that it
You're,
did.
you're sounding like Ursay with the Colts.
What do you mean?
Didn't you hear about him with?
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's different. The Steelers organization
that's what
does not
owners-
revolve around Ben Roethlisberger. They don't make decisions because
that's
of
what
him.
some
I
owners
think it
think.
did for a while, Nick, unfortunately.
They
his last
shouldn't have,
couple of
though.
years.
It
No,
did.
of course not.
Mike,
but
I got to agree with you.
yeah,
It did.
they
His
did.
made up
Well,
plays and all
you
that.
know what?
he did.
I will
Everything-
say this: I put more blame on the lack of Steelers' postseason success on Ben Roethlisberger than I do Mike Tomlin.
Oh,
100%
without a doubt.
agree.
Yeah.
100% agree.
I'm in agreement there. No, thanks. Good points there, Mike. Appreciate it. Tony Santucci, thanks for watching. Amy said, Chip, you're on fire. Paul Haley, agree with Mike. A sparkle of leadership snowballs into maturity.
Ooh.
He went deep on
Oh,
us.
About that.
man.
That's very existential.
That was the E word doubled. Since I got the Einstein look going, that's E doubled there. And Amy Sliss says, "Oh, I agree with you also, Mike.
All right.
Hey.
Some people
Welcome
do.
aboard." All right, I got to do what's on my mind. Well, they covered some of the stuff. I'm drinking Steeler Kool-Aid. They listened to Pittsburgh Sportsline last year, got improvements in the offensive line. How did we get so many defensive backs after listening to our show? So even though Tomlin and Smokin' Jim don't get along, they talk. We needed defensive linemen too. We needed linebackers like Chip had mentioned, and we have some.
If I may interrupt,
Yeah, go ahead.
he couldn't have talked to Smoking Jim because we'd have a white quarterback.
That's a great point. And by the way, Chip's not racist. He's a white guy, just like Smokin' Jim. We miss him. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And last year, I was talking, I got to take back my words for this year, because last year, Open Door Moore let more guys come in, and so quickly, the Kenny Pickett, I said, as a rookie, I expect nothing from him. I don't want him to play because he needs to learn more. It used to be 3 to 5 years. I'll go with Mike's theory, 1.5 years. And what happened, so I'm watching, Moore is actually blocking guys. I think he let one sack happen, but now I got to stutter a little. How did this happen? Where 3 drives, Kenny Pickett has 3 touchdowns and scoring drives in the preseason. So the Kool-Aid I normally wouldn't drink. I believe in Kenny Pickett this year because of the supporting cast. And my theory with Matt Canada seeing what he had last year, or the lack of what he had, dumb down his playbook. And then when you have a quarterback that can't look to the left because he's being chased or ready to get smothered, now he has the whole field to look at. And it took 5 years for Kenny Pickett to break Dan Marino's record. So he had to do some good things, whether the competition was good or bad. He accomplished something. So I know he's coachable. He doesn't have Whipple with him. And I really don't know what Canada's about except all the negative things I've heard about him. So I'm willing to give him a chance after seeing preseason games with Kenny Pickett in there and the offensive line improvements. And plus on defense, look, what do we got? Peasy's kid intercepts a ball, gives it to his dad. Oh, by the way, it's preseason. All these things are preseason. And like Mike said, because we've experienced it, we could go undefeated in preseason and win 2 games for the season. So I'm tempering it with that, but I'm still drinking all the Kool-Aid that I can get from the Steelers. Go Steelers. I'm going to start out believing like I did in the Pirates, and I've still watched more games. Side note with the Pirates, St. Louis, I can't believe a legendary team and fans has a team like this in last place.
I watched that game last night.
Me too.
And I saw the Cardinals. I swear to God, they switched uniforms with the Pirates.
Well, hey, we got to go. No Smoking Jim tonight, so we're going to VIP time.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more football now, because and it's good that they brought up Kenny Pickett and
You're welcome.
the Steelers. So
You're welcome.
yeah, thanks. So
He couldn't mention my name, VIP.
This-
What is this?
the Steelers and Kenny Pickett, I would say, leads to potential. I mean, I feel like they're going to win, and I'm with Mike, and not so much how they're going to start the season, but I have a lot of optimism. Now, you know that, but I hear a lot of talks about, okay, is Kenny Pickett going to be good? How long do we have to wait? I saw some opinions on social media that say, I'm not judging him on the preseason. Give me till week 3. Chip said 10 games. So there's that opinion that exists in the world.
Here, I'll make it clear. First game, Kenny Pickett, 300 yards.
Great. But my whole point really is that I'm kind of with it, with the opinions, because I know that there are several fans out there who try to make predictions and make bold predictions, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to be right, and then they're just not right. And me, when I talk, I usually like to bring a little bit more reason, and they're like, yeah, sure, maybe more of a sample size would be fair before making such an assessment. But here's what I will say, because here's how I feel. If you're out there and I ask you, are you excited to see Kenny Pickett and the Steelers play this season, and you say no, I don't know how. The preseason games don't mean a lot toward potential regular season success, but watching Pickett play and watching Pickett do what he's doing and watching all the weapons around, the wide receiver core has gotten refreshed. The offensive line is not looking like wet paper, right? They're blocking. The defense is very strong. We can hope only that TJ Watt stays healthy. But all these things are coming together for the Steelers in a way that you should be excited for this season. I don't like the people who are like, well, we can't be happy about anything ever because sports is miserable. We don't need any of that. You should be excited about the Steelers this season.
Nick,
you should be excited about Kenny Pickett this season. We know Al's excited, and I think the other Chip and Big Mike are as well. But that's kind of the question in this case where, okay, I get it. You want to be reasonable. You don't want to dub Kenny Pickett as anything too soon. But for goodness sake, be excited. That's the opinion today.
I concur with you 110%.
And I got to say, I agree with you as well.
That's the third time you've said that today.
Woo! Pittsburgh Sports Line record.
Here's what the thing is. I may not have the level of excitement you have because I've been, involved in this sports thing for a lot longer than you've been alive.
Are you older than me? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and I've had my heart broken more times than I can imagine. No. So, I'm pessimistic to a point.
Boy, those
but
70s
I have guarded optimism.
No, the 70s were great.
I'm sure.
They're burned across our forehead. 4 Super Bowls.
Wonder why I wasn't there.
I was alive in the 60s.
You weren't even thought of.
When the Steelers... The only thing they won.
SOS. Same
the only
old
thing they
Steelers.
won was the fight on the offensive and defensive line.
And they were great in Cleveland with the fights and the fans.
That's all they did was they fought well. They didn't play football with it.
Paul Haley's coming back. He's on fire. Al, preseason games excite the fans who waited 6+ months to tailgate and get their fix of football. Pittsburgh fans are happy until the first loss. Then they complain about everything. Well, Paul, my opinion is they're all very spoiled. I've been saying for years on the show, you've only been watching recently. When we win one game as the Steelers, we're going to the Super Bowl. We lose one game, fire Tomlin and the staff, we're going nowhere.
But the bottom line, too, is that sports should not be miserable. There is reason for hope. Sometimes you watch the Pirates play and you know before a season that it's not going to be there. This is kind of the opposite of that. There's talent, and that should lead to excitement and optimism, at least for now.
Good observation. We're going to move on to trivia time in 10 seconds. Although pay attention to the camera.
All right, welcome back, everybody. A little trivia for this evening. I, of course, Friday and Saturday night will be down rooting on my ever-loving Buccos, watching them play the Cubs. But Saturday night I get to watch an induction happen on Saturday evening. Last year they inducted 19. Was it 19 or was it 22?
19.
No, it was 19 because I said, why not 20?
Well, the thing I never understood was you've got two guys that were in their 90s that should have gone in on the first ballot that you waited until this year. And unfortunately, Dick Groat is not going to be there to receive his honor.
So sad.
He was alive when he found out that he got elected. I would have loved to be standing there at PNC Park Saturday night and showing my support to Dick Groat. So 4 new inductees into the Hall of Fame. Dick Groat, 1960 National League Most Valuable Player,
MVP.
World Series champion. Bob Friend, another
What a
Pirates pitcher.
Yeah.
Elroy Face, the two
Should have been in there.
the two greatest relief pitchers in Pirates history, Elroy Face, Kent Tekulve.
Yeah.
You know, each of them won a World Series. What was the? Let's see here.
Check it quick.
Yeah, they called Elroy Face the Baron of the Bullpen. In 1960, he
BB.
saved 24 games during the regular season and 3 more in the World Series.
And that's when they hardly used relievers.
No, he was the first relief pitcher to save 3 games in a World Series. In 1959, he had an 18-1 record as a relief pitcher. He spent 15 of his 16 years in the bigs with the Pittsburgh Pirates, making a club record 802 appearances, winning 100 games, and registering 186 saves. Even those saves did not become a statistic
Hold it.
until
Ann Harder-
1969.
Ann Harder, grandma said, Elroy recorded a record he sang. Thank you for that, Ann. We appreciate history and trivia.
So here's that Elroy Face says some of the accomplishments that he was most proud of. I would say being the first to save 3 games in a World Series,
Yeah.
22 straight wins in 1958 and 59, and being 18-1 in 1959. And this was a relief pitcher. Now, a relief
That
pitcher,
was so rare.
relief pitchers back in those days would come in the 4th inning and finish the game.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they
relief
were-
pitchers didn't pitch the 9th inning. So,
Well, as you know, Chip, they were starters that couldn't make the top 4.
but you know, it's going to be nice to sit there and cheer on the Pirates legend, Elroy Face, 95 years old. God bless the man. And he's going to get to see himself inducted into the Pirates Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of
What an
people,
honor.
you know, he's probably one of the best relievers that ever played the game. But
Yeah.
that was way before relief
became-
pitchers
yeah.
became a thing.
Yeah. Good point. He led the way.
He led the way. So, Teak, Bob Friend, Elroy Face, and Dick Groat.
Legends.
Legends from the Pirates past.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate that. All right, we got a special segment with our substitute guest. We don't know what to even call it. So, Michael Rohde, entertain your Rochester parents and friends.
All right. I was going to do NFL predictions like
Go
I mentioned.
ahead.
No. I'm not going to do it
Okay,
because
then
it's
don't.
maybe next time because I can't
I'm
figure out
easy.
who's going to win the NFC, what is it, South? The Buccaneers, Falcons, Saints. Those are the worst 4 teams in the league.
Well, when
Who's going to win that?
When preseason's over, we'll bring you in for that little thing that you've
All right,
learned.
I'll polish it off
Yeah,
then.
that you've learned by then.
I
Go ahead.
will
What do you
just
wanna
well
talk
I will
about?
say is I mean you guys were talking about like you know emotional fans and everything I said when we were off for a second I said passionate fans, and that's what this town has, and love them or hate them, Philadelphia, Cleveland, you know, New York, a lot of these Green Bay, I mean they're just full of passion. And it's when you said about the Steelers, when they win, when they lose, think about the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's been like that. When the Penguins won 1 game, here we go, Stanley Cup, start polishing it off.
It's
Then they
no
lose,
water.
and it's like it's
done.
doom and gloom for 48
Get rid of
hours
the
until they
coaches.
play again. Yeah, it's just absolutely awful. But I'll take that over apathy anytime. You know, there's so many towns that I've been to. A friend of mine told me once he was down went to see the Steelers play the Falcons in Atlanta. And they had an extra, I think, 2 tickets, if I'm not mistaken. They stuck them on the hood of the car underneath windshield wipers. When they came back, there was
Nobody
one
took
more
it.
ticket there.
Yeah.
Somebody else put a ticket
I've
there.
heard a similar story to that.
So-
like, it gives us something to talk about. So even though I'm making fun of this, I appreciate it because we're spoiled and we're lazy.
Wouldn't want it any other way. And that's why I really, really wish that the Pirates had a steward of the game versus just a businessman as owner, because you guys watched the game
We
last
second
night.
that emotion.
I said to Marco the other night, I said, wouldn't it be great if every night you'd be treated to a Pirates game that meant something? If they were in a race, you know, we had that like 8 years
Can
ago,
I make
and it was
an
electric every
observation?
day.
Because everybody piles on Bob Nutting, but the thing that people fail to realize, when Bob Nutting bought the team, he assumed all of the debt from Kevin McClatchy, and Kevin McClatchy had bankrupted the team to the point where they were not even able to make payroll. Okay?
Right.
So what he did was he assumed all of that debt and paid that debt off and turned the Pirates into a profitable team. Okay?
Like I said, good businessman.
Which, had he not done that, there would not be a Pittsburgh Pirate team in PNC Park.
Oh, here's another
look,
analogy. I'll pow on. How do you pronounce the name Mario Lemieux? He was only owed
heard of
about
it.
$6 million. So he had a self-interest that look what he did to the franchise to win cups.
And now the Penguins are owned by a business.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, and there's another
That's why
part
I
of
brought
that
it
too, Chip, that, how long are you going to blame that as well? Because look at the Marlins, look at the Orioles, look at all the other teams around them in payroll, and look at the Mets. So I hear you. I don't know what it is. I do think it is a reflection of ownership. I talked last time I was on about how the Penguins' vibe was so bad with the GM. The Pirates just have that losing vibe. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I much wish
I don't
they were a winner.
necessarily think so much it's the ownership. I think it's the management. And we're talking about two different animals right there. Because when Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington started doing their thing, they were doing things the right way. And look what they did. They created the team that went to 3 wild card games. And then what did they do? They started listening to the voices of other people instead of sticking to their plan. And then they started selling off all the pieces. And because they were drafting lower in the draft, they didn't have any talent left in the system. Then they gave it all away for somebody like Chris Archer.
But did they give away guys because they were on a budget? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I think it's all connected.
That's a question we're never going to know the answer
Exactly.
to.
I think it's all
Nobody
connected.
will.
It's just
We'll
that
save
when
this
there's
conversation for another day. We got a 2-minute warning.
Okay.
We got to do On Location, which will be brief. Then Marco got a point that he sent to me, which I'm aware of. So let's go back to On Location in 10 seconds, Johnny.
for sure.
I'm ready. Back on location, not much to talk about. Just had a talking machine on location at Lamont with a great women's group talking about the 19th Amendment, right to vote. But what I wanted to bring up, no real other on locations. Marco brought up, I saw the Commanders ended the Ravens' preseason winning streak of 24 games.
Historic.
So I saw that, Marco, and I said that to Drew. Drew knows I was talking about it. And we all don't like the team that Modell brought out of Cleveland to be the Ravens because we hate them like Cleveland. So it's always good news. So thanks, Marco, for bringing that up to let me close it out with a minute to go. And great discussion with Chip and Mike here. And my thing is, growing up in the 60s and 70s, I didn't realize who owned the team because I appreciated what they did on the field. And then I wasn't a Steeler fan until Joe Green started playing because of his passion.
There you go.
That changed me into a Steeler fan. I like the Green Bay Packers. They were winners, and all of us Pittsburghers, we like the winners. That was in our water with the Three Rivers here, and that's what I believe going way back in history. I'm older than you guys, so I can say it. But that's part of my point. Appreciate all your comments and that. I don't know whether to pray for Smoking Jim or his car because we don't know what's wrong, so a prayer to Smoking Jim would help. He might watch it, so he'll laugh a little. We missed you, buddy, and please stay Joey strong.
Oh, no!
This is deep, and he did it again! Sawinski wins it for the Pirates!
Frank Fanera, owner of Olive Oil's Pizzeria in the Hillcrest Shopping Center on Route 88. Call them at 412-831-1900. Every Tuesday night, Olive Oil's Pizzeria provides the host and the amazing volunteer crew with an XL pepperoni pizza and a full steak hoagie. They are delicious. Olive Oils is proud to support Pittsburgh Sportsline and the volunteers at BPTV.